of those engines. So Friday night, they rented an airplane hangar, rebuilt all of their race engines for today's race. There are some nervous people in the Roush camp today because they didn't get practice yesterday to test out those race engines. Today, Burns.
Marty, Dale Earnhardt was great here in Daytona, but one of his good friends has been the best driver in the last 10 races here, including the July races. That driver, Rusty Wallace. His average finish, 9.3. It's been very, very good, but Rusty's never won this race, and he's hoping today, in his 20th try, he can make it to victory lane. Alan?
All right, Dave, less than half a lap from the green flag in the Daytona 500. Perfect weather conditions.
Yes, it is. And we saw Elliott Sadler. This is Mark Martin. Oh, man, these guys right now just thinking about what can we do. I need to get a good start because these first few laps are important. On fresh tires, you can do something. After 20, 30 laps, it's going to be harder and harder to pass.
You're right, BP. You'll see a lot of guys probably in the middle here for the first 10 or 15 laps. But then after that, get some tire wear on your tires. You do not want to be in the middle.
And Mike Wallace looks like his car is stalled in turn 3. It is.
Wallace was scheduled to start 17th, and the start has been waved off to clear his car from the track.
Marty, what's going on?
Well, they had problems cranking it at the beginning when they gave the command to start the engines, Benny, and he said it just shut off and it won't turn over right now, and I believe they're going to go green without Mike Wallace.
Going to be 1 to go, and they come to the start-finish line, which means the green flag will be next time by. A tow truck has been dispatched to push Mike Wallace back to the pit area. How about that? 10 days of being here, 2 months of preparation. If something goes wrong before you even get the green flag.
How crushing is that?
He's trying to bump start it right there. You see, it looks like he may have the motor running.
And Jay Leno got an extra lap in front of the field. There's Andy Petrie, the team owner of that 33 car.
And you can see him holding his head and thinking, what in the world could be going wrong?
But I see that car running, BP, so he did get a bump started.
The question is, how long will it run? If they had trouble cranking it and it's quit on him already, well, he's going to stay on the track and try and join the end of the field for the start.
And that's probably a good place to start, because if he does have problems, he doesn't want to be where he was.
Marty?
Well, what they think has happened, Alan, is the main ignition has gone bad, and they're on the secondary ignition now. And I'm going to try to get a word with Andy Petrie as soon as he solves this issue. Let's see if we can get a word with Andy real quickly. Andy, any idea what it is?
It looks like an ignition switch or something. It could have hit it with his foot getting in or whatever, but it's broken the end of the switch off. And then what happened was it went to the secondary ignition and it got mixed up on the steering wheel switch, the cutoff switch, and couldn't get it to start. Finally got it going, but man, it's a real tough break right now.
They thought it might have been a short earlier, but it does appear to be the primary ignition switch has gone bad on Mike Wallace's car.
$1.50 part on a $100,000 race car. They're coming to the green this time. So Mike Wallace goes to the end of the field. Last year, here at Daytona, driving for a different team, he started last in one of these races and came up with a top 10 finish.
On the steering wheel, we see Michael Waltrip weaving the steering wheel back and forth. Somewhere on that steering wheel is a switch these drivers can hit that will kill the ignition. Somehow, Mike Wallace, according to Andy Petrie, you see there's a radio. I think on the left side is a kill switch, and all they got to do is touch that, and it kills the engine. And somehow, Andy Petrie thinks that Mike Wallace touched that while trying to start the car.
It'll take 200 laps around the 2.5-mile Daytona Speedway to make up the 500-mile distance this afternoon. The winner gets $1.3 million at least from that $12 million pot. Jay Leno takes the pace car to pit road. 170,000 are on their feet. We are ready for the start of the 44th Daytona 500.
Looks like that outside line is the line right now that's going the best. Harvick, the pole sitter, Jimmy Johnson, back to 5th spot, going in turn 3.
Second car in line, the defending Daytona 500 winner, Michael Waltrip. Looking for a way to the lead, pushed by his teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And that's bad news for the rest of the competition if those guys can stay there all day, because that combination right there has won a lot of races on the restrictor plate racetrack the last year.
Pole sitter Jimmy Johnson getting pushed by his teammate, Jeff Gordon, on the inside lane. Michael Waltrip not able to make a move. Tony Stewart going to try and get a push from those Hendrick Chevys, see if he can make a run on those front four. All last season, we honored the memory of Dale Earnhardt and all of America's other lost heroes with a silent lap 3. We do that once again here today at the Daytona 500.
Tony Stewart is off the pace, the winner of the Bud Shootout. Finished second in the qualifying race, off the pace in turn 3.
And a lot of people's pick to win this Daytona 500. It's only lasted 2 laps for him.
And you can hear the motors off right there. There's no running of that engine. How about it, Matt?
Benny, Greg Zipadelli asked Tony on the radio, is it the motor? Is it the motor? He says, yep, it broke.
Wow. Tony Stewart, one of the dominant cars all week, is out. Here comes Michael Waltrip for the lead.
He gets an outside position on the 29 car of Harvick. Coming off turn 2. Who's Junior going with? My money's on Michael.
Yeah, that's a pretty good bet. Teammates at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. They finished first and second in the last 2 straight Daytona Winston Cup races, each winning one and finishing second in the other.
Oh, Junior, when the 25 car pulled up behind Dale Earnhardt Jr., got that Bud car very, very loose going in turn 3.
Yeah, that was awfully close. It could have been even a little bit of contact there.
That's Jerry Nadeau right behind him in the black car, the 25. Robbie Gordon behind Nadeau. Inside lane, Ken Schrader in the yellow car moves up behind Kevin Harvick. Michael Waltrip so confident all week long. You heard him in our pre-race show. Felt like this might be his day for back-to-back 500 wins. Let's get more on Tony Stewart's situation, Matt.
Alan, I've caught up with Greg Zipadelli. Tony, give you any idea what might have happened inside the motor?
No, we probably broke a piston or something. He says it blew apart pretty good, and 18 car had one go the other day. Truck team had one go the other day. It doesn't seem like we're up on our game here with our motor program, but they've been working awful hard this winter, and we'll bounce back. It just, you know, we had a great race car. Home Depot Pontiac's been awesome all weekend. Tony's spirits have been up. This whole team has been excited about coming here and trying to win our first Daytona 500, but I guess we'll be back next year.
Rain washed out the final practice. Do you feel like this is something that probably would have cropped up in the final practice session?
Yeah, but I mean, everybody was in the same boat. 90%, 95% of us put our race motors in. It's something that we do week in, week out, and you know, it's a chance you take, but it just come off the dyno. I think ran good. They run a bunch of poles on it, and just wasn't our day. I mean, somebody, I don't know, just one of those deals, man. I don't know.
The 20 team, looking at the championship this year, uses a mulligan early in that title chase, Alan.
That will hurt. He will finish last in the first race of the year. Michael Waltrip leads. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is second. Jerry Nadeau third. Robbie Gordon fourth. And Kevin Harvick is fifth. Matt Kenseth, black and yellow, number 17 there. Really on the move in the opening laps. He started 40th. That time across the stripe, he's moved halfway through the field to 19th.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Fords react, especially after they get some wear on their tires and things with the spoiler change. See Ricky Craven there in the 32 sneaking up the center, trying to get in the outside lane there. With the heat the way it is now, we could see those Fords getting a little bit loose towards the end of the run. We'll have to wait and see.
Craven started last in this race, and he's at Kenseth. So he's having a great run in the early laps, too.
And this is the third year in a row that Tony Stewart gets his season off to a terrible, terrible start. Mark Martin watching Matt Kenseth in the 17 car drive by.
Mark started 39th. That time across the start-finish line, he's up to 20th. Dale Jarrett in the middle of that picture. Jeff Gordon fading back. Remember that Gordon started third on the inside of row 2.
He's back to 15th the last time by. On board with Jeff Gordon as he follows Kurt Busch, the 97 car. Coming off turn 4, Kenny Wallace is in the 1 on the outside.
Jeff Burton in the 99 car, highlighted there with the bubble, started this race in 33rd spot. That time across the start-finish line, he was 15th. Another one of the early movers from the back of the field. And notice all of those drivers we've spotlighted as moving up quickly. They're driving Fords. Qualified poorly, started in the back, seem to be working their way toward the front.
Another guy that's moving up pretty good there is Mike Skinner, that Ford car.
Started 20th. He's up to 8th. Dave Blaney off the pace. Hartford, Ohio driver. First ride with this 77 team, changing rides over the offseason. And he's got problems at lap 9.
Last time by, he was in 28th position, but the way he's coasting off turn 4, it looks almost like an engine problem.
Not a lot of guys got to run any practice on their race engines because of the happy hour being canceled. So a lot of these guys are worried right now that they put these race engines in. The first lap on these motors are right now today.
On board with Robbie Gordon. 31 car last time by was in the 9th position. And that's, we see the 24 car Jeff Gordon. He and Jimmy Johnson, the pole sitter, put their race engines in on Tuesday and ran them a few laps just to verify they were okay. And after happy hours rained out on Saturday, that looks like a stroke of genius.
And if you're not familiar with the NASCAR term happy hour, that's the term for the final practice before the race.
And you remember we were talking to Tony Stewart yesterday during the Busch race, and I asked him, Tony, you got any laps on that race motor? He said, no, we don't, and we're a little bit worried about that. Hey, Dave, you got Tony down there?
We have caught up with Tony now, and Tony, you told us he had no laps on that race motor. Did that worry you going in?
It's never worried me. I mean, I've got the utmost confidence in our motor department at Joe Gibbs Racing, and you know, whatever happened was a freak deal. The part that makes me feel bad is there's so many of these guys that you see behind us that have worked all winter to get this car done, and their families and their wives and their kids have been letting their dads and their husbands go to work and work 10, 12-hour days to try to get this car where it was this week. And I told them right before the race, I'm like, no matter what happens, guys, you guys gave us a very, very good race car here, and it's a tough way to start the year, but I feel worse for the guys than anything because they've poured their hearts and souls into making this car what it is.
That's the word right there. Tough. Very tough way for Tony to start. He was a favorite, guys.
And we use the Super Bowl analogy, and Tony Stewart's season started out just like a quarterback throwing an interception on the first series.
It's a little better than last year's exit of the race, I guess, where he ran in contention and then got taken out on a big wreck at the end of the day.